planet Earth is full of life. How amazing and privileged that humankind belongs to this Garden of Eden called Earth. Around 200,000 years ago, we look at the world as a participant, and more recently, around 10,000 years ago, gradually we move towards the center of this world, and now, in just 100 years, the world becomes us. Let's ponder a bit on what our ancestors were like. They probably were dazzled by the variety of lives on Earth, and learned a tremendous amount from the animals existed at the time. We used to be the prey of larger, more capable animals. We used to be at the backwater of the life's pyramid. Of course, now we are different, too easy to forget where we come from. We learn many tricks to survive the hostile, constantly changing world. We can consider ourselves lucky or smart. The key in this period was survival. We started as hunters and gatherers before we become farmers. People started living together in large groups. The practice of living in a large group with mutual understanding and dependency has become a very useful lifestyle. People benefited greatly compared to small isolated groups. Larger communities evolved into societies which in time become civilizations. Modern men and women tend to see we are the world. Or perhaps more extreme, everything exists just for us. Human being rules not only the world, but the universe. Our ego has exceeded our imagination. How do we change from a biocentric world to an anthropocentric world, in just a few hundred years? The self-centered way of seeing the world can mislead us to believe in we are the only important one. It blinds us from seeing the contribution of our prosperity from other life forms. First of all, we can't live independent of other life forms yet. Most if not all people prefer to share the world with the other animals. A human-centric only worldview can lead us to act selfishly and sometimes detrimental to other life forms. As part of the ecosystem, the departing of other animals can be a warning sign for our own existence. It will be foolish to ignore the condition of other life forms and just focus on being happy or sad in our own little world. How can we be so self-absorbed and self-centered? Why we think we are so good and so much better than other animals? We have to admit, humankind seems to have changed a lot since 100,000 years ago, but what exactly make us so different to other animals? These questions may or may not be in one's head, but by understanding the facts, may help us to think more objectively about ourselves. First of all, the human body is not that different to other animals. In terms of speed, eyesight, lifespan, size, and strength, we might be worse than a lot of existing animals. We are hopeless in swimming, flying, climbing. We are better in long-distance running. Some of our traits was considered uniquely human, but in fact animals can do the same, for example communicate via sign language, being funny, tool use and construction, have long-term memory, good at counting, self-awareness, culture, unique behavior in certain group only, have emotion. Show empathy. Individually, we might be better in some areas but can hardly claim our abilities are unique. And we didn't start with the big brain either. So our success is not just in our physical ability, our intellect is the main contributor to our accomplishment as an individual. The intellect is the combination of our level of consciousness and our know-how. We achieve that through connecting our mind to the social system where we can learn, do, and reflect on the collective wisdom of man. The one unique aspect of human is our understanding and our knowledge of the world, which provide us the ability to participate in the group activities in the modern society. A simple but cruel experiment will show who we really are. If someone was born away from the society, and left to live on an island alone, that someone will be back to the original us. Human being is amongst one of those animals can no longer live alone independently on the planet. If we were being left in the wild, we will almost certainly face death. We are so dependent on the society for food, shelter, and protection, we lost the ability to live as an independent life in the wild long time ago. So is consciousness the prerequisite of intelligence, or is it the other way round? Here is how the intellect develops. In last episode we mentioned about our ability to P for plan, M for model, L for learning, A for analyze. We break down the whole to bits. We attach names to entities. We model the scenarios and we analyze the outcomes. During the conceptualization process we learn and we adjust our knowledge base, to better handle the tasks at hand or in the future. This ability becomes more and more sophisticated. We can deal with more and more abstract ideas like freedom and harmony, social justice, project management, optimization, programming. Different people have different abilities. Some are good with music, some are best with ideas, some will be able to speak logically, some are great with singing. Individually we specialize in one or a few areas, and when our ability meets the demand, we can perform like a star. There are many ways to make a living. Not all have the luck to have the best skills and got the opportunity to utilize that skill. So we learn as we go. Some started as a mailman and turn out to be a respected CEO, some failed in school but succeed in a business venture. Regardless of the outcome, most of us will try and participate in the tragic or triumphant life of ours. Human intelligence includes both the logical and the illogical mind. Most of us inherited the culture from our ancestors, then we learn in school the basics of accumulated human knowledge. Together with the mass media we form our own moral values. Our brain pretty much understands the rights and the wrongs we call common sense. Within the social constraint, under normal circumstances, we tend to behave conservatively, but in special times, we can easily be inflamed and be influenced by others. When we being stirred up, we can collectively do things we will never do on our own. This kind of contradictory behavior is the result of our logical mind and emotional drive working in tandem. If logic rules everything, the world will not be what it is. Logic is not good or bad, it has its place, but it is not the only driver for how things be in this world. So far, artificial intelligence programming does not include emotion, but no one says it will not be introduced in the future. Logical mind bring us productivity. Part of the social contract for each productive individual is that we will follow the rules. On the factory floor, all the workers know how to behave and what to do, everyone have a role to play and certain tasks are under that role. In order to complete an assembly line, we need to do the right thing. The logical mind provides the opportunity for us to unite with our fellow human beings, and be organized in a way to support a structure to create and maintain modern institutions. Whether we are engaged in trade, manufacturing, or goods and services to the consumer market, logic is a big part of what we need to follow. After all, the material world are logical. We need to behave in a designated way so we can consistently produce the right stuff. We need to behave the right way so the process of production can be optimized. The logical side of us are the basis for our modernization and our current status quo. But that's just half of the story. Illogical mind bring us the other half, creativity. Why a rabbit will never want to go to the moon? Cause the rabbit is stupid? Wrong, it is precisely the opposite. The rabbit knows that Earth is the place where it can prosper, not the moon. The illogical part of our brain will bring us to wish for impossible or illogical destinations. Sometimes we do it either to break out the current conundrum or create some fantasy to escape from boredom. We might have aspiration to achieve many things, logical or not, but success requires more than just determination. As we mentioned in last episode, for anything to happen, the condition for it to exist must present. At the end of World War II, rocket was already invented. To travel to space is roughly 200 miles up. So space travel is much closer to reality than say 1,000 years ago. On the manifestation of human intelligence, there are people who loves to fantasize, that can be interpreted as futuristic thinking. Without the ability to go beyond the now, how boring will the world be? The whole entertainment industry is built on imagination. Our potential is usually one level above what we currently can do, and reality is where we can use our wisdom to optimize and utilize the resources to benefit all. The real essence of a logical mind is that we can establish the cause and effect, understand the roadmap, we can achieve a goal pretty much with a degree of certainty. We need to understand the limitation of our logical mind, which is that it will not automatically lead us to see all the potentials. Especially the low probability events, which is the seed to dramatic change in the future. Our dubious assumptions, never perfect, will mislead us to a destination more like a wishful thinking than reality. What are we facing today as modern man? To understand that progression is not always positive. To understand there are many cycles and some of them are a lot longer than our existence. We should not judge the value of others based on our own, will not be afraid to see the real self and have the courage to face the inner devil, our inflated ego and our prejudice. Some say, the eye is the proof of the existence of God. It may sound very convincing to some people, but the logic is the same as the existence of us is the proof of the existence of God. Not sure which one is more authentic, but we know, complexity is just a concept. Many, if not everything, in this world is the cumulative effect of many small steps over time, may it be a very long time. In many occasions the details were not recorded for us to learn. When we don't understand, we call it a miracle, but like all magic, once you know the how and why, it becomes trivial. When someone dear to us was born, we celebrate. When someone dear dies, we lament. We will not cry if a leaf fall off a tree, right? Emotion gives meaning to our feelings and drives our decision process, which lead to the heaven or hell we think we live in. Most people think that knowledge is the key to intelligence. But not necessarily so. To model the world in our head we use intuition as well as our logic. We read, we listen and learn all sorts of reasoning and know-how, but they are just a subset of what's out there. Due to our limited sample size and mental capacity, we can only be better but never perfect or even close to perfect. The more we know, the more we realize that so much we don't know. Look at knowledge from a more practical point of view. Understand the Big Bang Theory or the string theory will not get you the bottle of Bombay Sapphire you desire. The truth means little if it can't solve your personal problems. Life is short. To acquire knowledge takes a lot of time and effort. Even if you are rich and you are as wise as an owl, if there is not a chance to use that knowledge of yours, it is meaningless, but it does boost your ego. Make you feel like you are superior amongst some people. In essence, to acquire the right knowledge to meet the needs are the key to happiness in this life. To become yourself, you will be trapped inside a cage, you will be infinitely exaggerated. To get above oneself and see beyond the ego and have a larger vision means we have to overcome the self. Different people use different ways to achieve that: meditation, religion, nationalism, even drugs, which all comes down to have a certain unshakable belief of truth, mastering the discipline of sorts, exercise restraint. With unnerving dedication and focus, feeling that one can stay the course of their virtue. But history have shown that they can failed and will continue to fail. Everything must change, including great ideas. There is no eternal truth. Good and evil can easily be swapped. Discipline is great, but if it is against human nature, it will foster the exact opposite effect. At times, it will incubate the exact opposite of what people desire. One man's freedom can be another man's servitude. When people can, they will act evil or act like God. Ultimately, we wish that there will be an arbitrator above mankind, but from the 2 world wars we can see that there is nothing to really guard humankind. Unlimited stuff, whatever that is, money, sex, power included, will not make us happy for long. It will accelerate our culmination. Knowledge can be interpreted positively or negatively. Happiness can easily be switched to boring, triumph into regret, love into hate, euphoria into depression, elation into despair. For example, finally you have time for yourself to do some productive work, but instead of get on with what you intended to do, you feel empty and lonely instead. You got the love of your life and you propose to marry her, but before too long you start to notice all the imperfect side of her and questioning if you really made the right choice before the big day. You decided to give up smoking but keep failing for the temptation of fellow smokers handing over a cigarette. You commit to rid of the addiction of gambling but keep telling yourself just one more time, I'll quit. You say you will stop drinking but can't really tell why you are in a bottle shop buying Grey Goose vodka. Are we sick? Perhaps it's called dysfunctional impulsiveness syndrome. Or is this all part of our natural life? There are ways to free ourselves from the above problems, but we need to know which truth will set us free and which truth will truss us up for enslavement. Knowledge is great, but we need to seek the right ones and map that to our needs. Progress is measurable and discipline is to guard us from distractions and also to prevent us from going down to the abyss. We need to know what and where our decision and actions are leading us to. If we found a way to get money to be rich like never before, should we get that money now? Ask the Spanish. If we found people of the land are ignorant and stupid, should we eliminate them and move over there? Ask the British. If we found that we are the most powerful nation, and some small nation likes to play hardball, should we just bomb them out of existence? Ask the Americans. With all the wisdom of man, we are constantly struggling between good and evil without realizing that they are just the two sides of the same coin. Look at this trap from another angle. We were with God from the beginning. Only after we ate the fruit from the tree of knowledge we started the separation from God. Maybe the tree of knowledge gave us an inflated ego, nothing more. The so-called knowledge is the delusion which lead us to eternal suffering. It's proven that no religion can save us if we are heading towards self-annihilation. No advancement of technology or wealth can stop us either, it will only accelerate our demise. All the wars, including World War I, II, or III, are the perfect examples of our mental capacity. I know, the start of World War III is not yet announced, but at the start of both World War I and World War II, not everyone can see it coming either. It is only if we realize our weakness we have a chance to overcome this death trap. We need help. The help may not come from above but from within. Are we ready to hear and explore it? The greatest deception may be that other than our logical mind, there is nothing else. To be conscious is only the starting point of knowing. Logic comes from our understanding and mastery of our language and memory. However, our brain provides far richer options than just logic. Language is good but not necessarily future-proof. Imagine a woodwork teacher tries to explain neural science to a bunch of students. Imagine people try to explain iPhone to someone never used a phone before. As a fish try to climb a tree, how awkward it must be for the fish, the audience, and perhaps the tree. We got to be mindful of the limitation of our logic, our language, and our ability to make judgment. We ought to be confident, but never overconfident. We are all familiar with the concept of a tool. We kind of like to use tools but not happy with being a tool. The funny thing with a tool is that it can morph from a slave to a master, from being used to a controller. Think about money, which is a tool for trade and exchange of labor and resource. But for a lot of people, getting rich becomes the goal of their life's aim. Money gets so complicated it is out of people's control. The nightmare is that money start to control people. In the modern days, we all can feel the tools of the world getting smarter and more sophisticated. Will one day the tools turn to be our master also? People are behind the tools at the moment, but how do we know that for sure? In the next 3 episodes, I hope to focus on exploring the technology of computation and automation.